Greetings, welcome everyone. It's great to be with you and learning with you again. Our presentation today is entitled The Initiatory Ascent of the Ladder of Love. And we'll have a meditation first, and I'll share a slide with you that'll help us introduce the presentation as well as the meditation for us. You'll see before you now a depiction of Diotima of Mantinea, one of the foundational figures in Western philosophy, one could say. The sculpture actually dates from 1936 to 1937. It's at the University of Western Australia, and the sculptor is Victor Hawley Wagger, and it's made from Portland stone. And so it's a figure of great beauty, both in physical form, but also an inner spiritual soul, as suggested. Now, one of the foundational and most deepening conveyances of Western philosophy is given by the priestess and prophetess Diotima of Mantinea in Plato's Symposium. She describes an initiatory progression into the realization and experience of the increasingly expansive types of love, from the sensual to the eternal. We will consider the practical application of these maturing insights for the student of life and mysticism. We continue to take in the view and inspiration of this figure of Diotima before us. The ladder of love that we'll describe and we'll have an opportunity to ascend on shortly during a meditation period has many other parallels in the annals of mysticism. Another related example is that of Jacob's ladder that you're seeing before you in this engraving. The story from Genesis 28, 10 to 19, where Jacob has a dream and angels ascend and descend from heaven, connecting the earthly realm to the heavenly realm, or the finite plane to the infinite plane, as Rosicrucians would say. A similar parallel of the ladder of love of Diotima that she describes in Plato's Symposium. Distinct, but in the same way, going from connecting the material and the immaterial, balancing both, appreciating both, experiencing great joy and wonder when we have that connection between the infinite plane and the finite plane. So taking a little more of this image, and especially the ascent, the heavenly nature, and we'll apply this in our meditation. So when you're ready, I invite you to get comfortable in your chair or however you're seated. And you can invite you to close your eyes, to let go of the visual stimuli so we can concentrate more inwardly, or at least have, if you can, have visual stimuli reduced by partially closing your eyes. And I suggest you have your hands in your laps, palms down if you're seated, legs at right angles at the knees, feet flat on the floor, and just enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath, experiencing the wisdom of the body, referred to as the holy temple by Rosicrucians, where their feet flat on the floor connects to the temple of the earth, and soon will rise up into the temple of the divine, the cosmos and the cosmic. And Rosicrucians use the term cosmic to refer to the universal intelligence back of the universe and cosmos, and all natural and spiritual laws that we learn to master through spirituality and the Rosicrucian weekly teachings. Make sure your spine is upright. You can breathe in an unencumbered way. And just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythms of the breath. Breathe in what Rosicrucians refer to as a neutral fashion. That is neither holding the inhalation nor holding the exhalation. You may want to breathe during this part of this meditation period a little deeper than you normally do. Fill the lungs with air. You can feel the incoming of the oxygen and other nutrients, as well as the vital life force, the VLF, the Rosicrucians speak of. and we become increasingly sensitive to and know how to guide and use in our lives for our healing and the healing of others. And I suggest too, if it's comfortable, to extend your exhalation a little bit longer than the inhalation. That'll all the more activate the vagus nerve. Runs from lower part of our brain to just below the gut, important communication line in the holy temple of the body. And when the vagus nerve is activated in this fashion, it causes there to be a relaxation response, which then allows healing to take place, helping make us whole. No matter how well we feel, we can always do with this recharging of health and healing. And then we can help with the healing of others, as we will do shortly as we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Just take a moment to check in with yourself. Maybe there's some challenging things happen today. And use this as a time period to have a mini retreat. Maybe things have been very uplifting today, and let's just continue along those veins or that avenue. But just give yourself permission to have a mini retreat now. Just allow to release the cares of the day. Enjoy the soothing and energizing effect of this breathing meditation and the meditation we're about to do when we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. We'll come back from this meditation recharged, with our mind reframed, all the more aware of the cosmic consciousness and its great guidance in our life through the Master within, all the more able to discharge our duties and mission in life. Meditation can seem like a very simple act where nothing's happening, but in fact, a great deal is happening of an integrating and unifying way in our bodies, in our brains, in our psychic and spiritual connections. The breathing, I think you'll find too, as we concentrate on it, has a very calming effect, very peacemaking effect. Allows us to be peaceful and be a peacemaker in the world. Now that we've undertaken and applied the law of purification, the law of duality and law of polarity in this breathing exercise, we'll increasingly apply the law of cosmic attunement, because we'll now begin our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum, a period of cosmic attunement, following the booklet Liber 777 that we'll give you the resources for towards the end of this presentation. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. And we'll continue to apply the law of purification by the following prayer and invocation. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now I invite you to use all your inner psychic faculties and imagination to picture yourself rising up from the room where you're situated now, up above the home or dwelling, building where you're at, rising up and enjoying the ascent, seeing below you. And rise up over your neighborhood and over the geographic area or town, city where you dwell, and radiate love and well-being down to all those souls below. And keep rising up and see now the province or state where you dwell and see the beauty of it all. The weather systems, various landforms, be the deserts or hills or mountains, the river systems, the hills or mountains, the prairies, whatever is applicable to your province or state, and continue to rise up. And see below you now the great city, I should say the great state or nation, the great country or nation where you dwell. Continue to radiate love and well-being down to all those persons there. Let us rise up again. See not only the nation, country where you dwell, but also the continent where you dwell. And now as you rise up further, see the hemisphere. Now take in the entire beautiful view of the earth, beautiful blue jewel of the earth. You can see the great weather systems, some spiraling, great oceans and seas, in blue, the landforms, and the browns and greens, and the great ball of the earth revolving about its axis from the North Pole to the South Pole, and sense the harmonious order of it all. And radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings on earth. As we look up and we see the solar systems and our solar system and the great fiery ball of the sun. The other planets also, like the earth, revolving around the sun in spectacular harmony and order. You see the great planet of Jupiter, the beautiful rings of Saturn, and the distinctive features of the smaller planets such as Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Feel the subtle influence of them, of a psychic nature on your being, and then radiate back to them. Love and well-being, appreciation of this home where we dwell. And let us look up from the solar system and see not only the sun, but myriad other stellar phenomena, quasars, the pulsars, the supernovae. Sense even the presence of the black holes helping balance our universe. And let us continue up way beyond the speed of light as we transcend space and time. We're not limited by that physical reality. Enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent as we go up, just like ascending the ladder of love spoken of by Diotima and the Jacob's ladder. Let us keep rising up into the cosmic, past myriad stars, comets, planets, rogue planets, nebulae, interstellar gases, and start to sense our great home in the Milky Way galaxy and its great spiraling arms all about us as we rise up faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light. We exit right out from the Milky Way galaxy and look back at its great beauty as we make this great ascent of the beautiful. And sense the great motion of the Milky Way galaxy, just like the Earth rotating about its axis, our moon rotating about the Earth revolving about the sun, and the other planets doing likewise. So too we see these interconnecting motions and orbits. The universe is connected through them. And let us look up to see other galaxies and the great webs connecting the galaxies and the myriad stellar phenomena as we go faster and faster again and enjoy this great ascent. Sensing not only the sights and sounds, but the full range of vibrations of the cosmic keyboard, the great sea of vibrations spoken of by the Rosicrucians, applying our psychic senses to take in all of these vibrations as one great harmonious music, the harmony of the spheres, spoken of by the ancient philosophers and mystics. Enjoy this wondrous music and its inspiration as we rise higher and higher, and we'll apply the law of correspondence, for as we rise up into the cosmos. We'll go deeper and deeper into our being, increasingly sense the presence of the divine within. And keep rising up and sense myriad galaxies, nebulae, and stars, the clusters of galaxies, and even the superclusters of galaxies. Keep rising up and just enjoy the ascent, using great inner spiritual force. Now is not the time to be passive. We'll be passive in surrender once we soon reach the heights of the celestial sanctum. And as you keep rising up faster and faster and see the many galaxies and clusters of galaxies and even superclusters of galaxies containing the many clusters of galaxies, sense now the great harmonious revolutions of the entire cosmos about its cosmic axis, spoken of by philosophers and mystics since ancient times. Sense the great stupendous action of all the stars and galaxies revolving about a great axis. And see in the distance that axis and home in on its midpoint, speeding by the nebulae and galaxies and stars, reaching to the very center of the cosmos, the center of that great cosmic axis of which all else is revolving about. And when you come close to that midpoint of the cosmos, slow up. Slow up there. Come to rest there. And sense, as you look all about you, the great action and rotation of the cosmos. Enjoy the great beauty of it. Sense the great music of the cosmos, of which musicians and composers seek to imitate back on earth, but here in a higher, more beautiful form. Sense about you as well the temple of the divine, the temple of God, the cosmos. See the great icon that the cosmos is, a work of the Creator, for which we are co-creators on our spiritual path in life. Now let's apply further the instructions of the booklet Liber 777 and visualize this heights of the celestial sanctum at the center of the cosmos, the center of our being, our personal celestial sanctum. It may be an inspiring place in nature, the view all around us at the center of the cosmos, or some inspiring place back on earth that we remember, a sacred grove of trees, or maybe by a seashore or lake shore as the water comes in, it reminds us of the great vibrations, cosmic keyboard. Or maybe a high vantage point from a hill or a mountain, suggesting that higher, more expansive view of the cosmic consciousness. Or your personal celestial sanctum may be an inspired work of sacred architecture, such as a Sikh Gurdwara, a Jewish synagogue, a Buddhist prayer hall or stupa, a Christian cathedral or basilica, church, or the grand temple of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc at San Jose, California, at Rosicrucian Park. Fill in the sights and sounds of your personal celestial sanctum. Make it real, make it vital. You may wish to picture incense there, rising up, suggesting the great ascent that we just made to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Maybe beautiful stained glass windows depicting Rosicrucian laws and principles. You may wish to picture too all those seekers with us on this conference call today, and all those seekers throughout the temple of the earth, and the masters and invisible masters and our grand masters of our order, and the imperator of our order who may be conducting a special convocation ritual at this time. Keep filling in the sights and sounds. Feel the exhilaration of being at the heights of the celestial sanctum. And when you've done that, just let go, surrender to the divine within, and dwell for a time in the most profound peace, peace profound spoken of by the Rosicrucians. Of a period of silence while you do so. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath, no judgment, dwelling at the heights of the celestial sanctum, the center of the cosmos, the center of your being. As we dwell in silence, sense the increasing presence of the divine within, our true nature, coming forward and declaring itself. Just feel whatever there is to feel. Meditation is a profound act of non-avoidance. There's many reasons to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. One is for our general enlightenment. Another is for our health and healing. Another is to seek answers to important life questions. We can also conduct various spiritual operations taught in the Rosicrucian order from the heights of the celestial sanctum, where they will be all the more charged and effective and efficient to our attunement with the cosmic. For example, now we'll continue with the spiritual operations by applying the law of service. Let us work as a silent council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, or a Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order, Amorc, to radiate love and well-being to all those who've petitioned the Council of Solace for healing and guidance in their lives. Let us radiate from the depths within us with the aid of the divine within, for this is not a work of the outer nature. The outer nature will channel the forces of love and well-being coming from the divine within us to all those who have petitioned our Grand Lodge for health and guidance, and all those who have petitioned our affiliate bodies of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc for health and guidance, and all those you know who are in need of healing and guidance. And now all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of healing and guidance. Radiate love and well-being out the depths of your being, like a great light moving out from a floodlight, or like the sun's light radiating out to all around, reaching all those in need. Let it flow out and feel the exhilaration just like you felt in rising to the heights of the celestial sanctum. At a certain point, I think you may find that the radiations of love and well-being speed up, and you'll know all the more that you're reaching those in need. And at a certain point, you may find that you no longer need to make conscious effort for the love and well-being to flow. When that occurs, just continue to dwell in the deep stillness as the radiations continue from you. Now soon we'll formally close this work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace. Assured that the radiations of love and well-being will continue to radiate from the depths of our being as a way of life on the mystical path and as part of our mission in life. But we'll still continue our meditation, but let us formally close this period of metaphysical aid by saying together, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Now let us continue to dwell at the heights of the celestial sanctum before we make our descent. Increasingly aware of the presence of the divine within, at one with the cosmic mind. Sensing all the more the consciousness of the cosmic consciousness. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, we'll soon conclude this period of cosmic attunement with the celestial sanctum, assured that that cosmic attunement will continue to infuse us, and for it is back our objective consciousness, our subjective consciousness, our subconscious. Before we begin our descent, you may wish to invoke the law of gratitude, expressing appreciation and gratefulness to all those who have guided us, to all those who have loved us. Now, having applied the law of service, law of gratitude, law of polarity, law of duality, law of unity, law of cosmic attunement, we begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, going at tremendous speed, way beyond the speed of light, past the superclusters of galaxies and clusters of galaxies and myriad stars, enjoying the exhilaration of the descent. See the nebulae and the quasars and the pulsars, the great webs connecting the galaxies. The great system and order of it all, the wondrous beauty, the great music of the divine, the great structure of the temple of God, the handiwork of the Creator, of which we are a microcosm of this macrocosm. And see in the distance the Milky Way galaxy, our great home, and home in on the great arm where we dwell, and go right through into the galaxy, past myriad stars and nebulae, interstellar gases, comets, and see in the distance the wondrous action of our solar system, the beautiful elliptical orbits, and see the fiery ball of the sun, the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, our home, and home in on the hemisphere where you dwell, the continent, the country or nation, the province or state, and the city or geographical location. And let us use this prayer and invocation to say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And let us continue to descend to our neighborhood, home or dwelling or building where we left off in the room, back in the chair or however you're situated. And when you're ready, you may wish to open your eyes and stretch, rebuilt, rejuvenated, regenerated, all the more ready for the work and worship of the order and fulfill your mission in life. Thank you. Great, thank you, everyone. So let us continue now on our presentation entitled The Initiatory Ascent of the Ladder of Love. Now, the story of the Symposium, where the Ladder of Love is related, is actually a celebration party that Socrates attended, the teacher of Plato. The story is actually related years after the event. At the party, there's all men, and they've decided with Socrates to have each guest discuss the meaning and purpose of love. One by one, each guest relates their views and insights on this subject. Finally, Socrates talks about when he was a young man, he was taught about the expansive and deepest meaning and purpose of love by Diotima. It is poignant for me to this story because I remember when I was a youth, I was fortunate to have such wise women elders convey to me the living practice of the Rosicrucians in self-mastery. Now, Diotima is an inspiring figure for women who are philosophers to this very day. But she's also an inspiring figure to all seekers. And from the description of her in the dialogue, she appears to be a prophetess and a priestess. Strikingly, she uses the language that identifies her with one who had been initiated into the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece, and one who had instructed and guided others in those wisdom teachings. Her description of the different forms of love has come to be known as the ladder of love, the ascent to the beautiful, akin to what we did when we just rose up to the heights of the celestial sanctum and attuned with the cosmic. Now she speaks of physical love, romantic love, love expressed through laws and government, love of knowledge or systems of knowledge, love of all and beyond all things, transcendent and all-embracing. Indeed, love is the mediator between the mortal and the divine, the finite plane and the infinite plane, as we say in the Rosicrucian tradition. Love is enkindled by the experience of beauty. That's why the beauty is being emphasized here, because it's enkindled by the experience of beauty. Now, these different forms of love are stages of growing understanding, with each earlier form of love being introduced, it was introduced and well understood, then we're ready to appreciate the next rung or step or stage in the ladder. The teaching of love presented by Diotima would indeed lend itself well to the steps or degrees of mystical unfoldment that could be portrayed to the candidate during initiation rituals in order to experience, reflect upon, and then act and apply in service these teachings on love. The later part of Diotima's speech initiates the listeners and receptive reader into the mysteries or wisdom teachings on love. The account is very balanced in appreciation of both the material and immaterial, the physical and the transcendent. There is no condemnation of the physical. She shows how the body is good, but there is much more in addition to appreciate about love and how it is expressed. The ascent of the ladder of love is made possible by increased knowledge and the practices of contemplation and meditation, as we just did. The body, the physical body, is then seen more in perspective. Her talk appears to be an outline of an initiation without the ritual enacted, but we can get a sense in our imagination of what's going on. And that also will have its interaction on us. Now, as I've mentioned, there is a close relationship between the beautiful and love that she'll elaborate on. Now, there is, I think we've all experienced an attraction or infatuation, some would say, of a beautiful body. And that, for some, that's very dominating in their life. But over time, we have through reflection and contemplation and meditation, we notice that there's other beautiful bodies, Diotima tells us. And then we start to appreciate things that are common to all these beautiful bodies. Maybe particular qualities you find particularly attractive. But as we see these many beautiful bodies, we start to realize, like this ancient Greek sculptor Polykleitos, that the beautiful comes out of the mean. That is, as we see, take on individual elements and average them, we come to the most beautiful. And that is refers to the archetype of the beautiful body. And we have appreciation of that archetype. We're no longer held so much by the physicality of beauty, and we can progress further along the ladder of love in our ascent. And we have a greater appreciation of physical beauty as well. Then we come to the ascent, the next ladder or stage, the ascent to the beauty of the soul. Now, this is more challenging to appreciate. It requires greater discipline and maturity on our part. It requires more refinement as well. It needs more work, and also needs the presence of beautiful souls to experience. We're very fortunate in our order to have such souls to have contact with, our class master, grand master, and imperator, and so forth. But other people that have been inspiring to you in your life, mature persons who may have been a highly memorable teacher. There was a beauty of the soul there. And we may have noticed too, when a person has that beautiful inner personality, their whole being and their even in their physical sense become more beautiful to us. Now, we can also experience not only the sense of the beautiful soul that Diotima talks about, but also in person, but also through poetry and literature and sacred texts, inspiring stories of the Master Jesus, forgot time of the Buddha, and so forth. And so through interactions and conversations, and noting people's attitudes and patterns in their living, we experience others, and we have a deepening impression and encounter with what Diotima would call their souls, closely related to what we would say is Rosicrucian traditions, a soul personality and the one soul within them. Now, through friendships and romantic partnerships and other relationships, allow for these types of encounters. And we start moving away from the focus on the body. And not a condemnation of the body. That is a pitfall to avoid on the mystical path. The balanced approach leads to self-mastery and the deepest spirituality. And this is something that Diotima deeply realized, and it showed her greater maturity as a mystic and initiator. And then there's the ascent to moving beyond focus on a particular person. And there's the soul there to many persons and many souls. That is a group of people or living creatures through the beauty of institutions and laws, arrangements of society, which are created, as Diotima points out, by beautiful souls. We think, for example, back in ancient Athens, where this story comes from, there was Solon's constitution, was introduced in there as an example of a beautiful soul, showing how people can have regulated relations that would be compassionate and helpful to them, not harsh or prejudiced. We call too in these sessions talking about utopian stories by mystics. They talk about laws and governance that is both efficient and compassionate, such as the City of the Sun by the traditional Rosicrucian Tommaso Campanella. We see this matter too in the declarations of human rights. Also in our Rosicrucian tradition, there's a Rosicrucian Declaration of Human Dignities, the Rosicrucian Creed of Peace, the Rosicrucian Contribution of Peace, contribution, the Creed for Happiness, and also the Rosicrucian Code of Life. These are all structures that allow one to live in a harmonious way, to encourage self-mastery. These laws and principles and guidelines are Diotima tells us, is a form of beauty. So we see in a way this is another rung in the ladder of ascent. We have a more and more expansive sense of beauty. And by these declarations and creeds, we have more in perspective what it is to work with and be with ourselves and beautiful and persons that have great beauty within their soulful nature. Now, this form of beauty through laws and governance, declarations, may seem surprising to us at first, but upon reflection, it makes increasing sense for societal arrangements to be just and respectful to its members. It is an apt and expansive expression of beauty and love. Those societal laws and institutional arrangements shape and the growth of the people so governed, and help them come into the realization of their soul personality and one soul within them. The laws are between persons or intrapersonal, so our appreciation of love and beauty becomes more comprehensive and expansive, as I've mentioned. There is a movement here, of course, in abstraction and impersonality from the viewpoint of the mind, but in the heart, a greater loving grasp, wonder and awe is experienced. The ascent continues into systems of knowledge, that is, science in its broadest sense of any systematic body of knowledge. The love, and this also includes the virtues, the development of virtues, because Diotima viewed those as a form of knowledge, and indeed they are. And also the love and identification with one's crafts, special skills one has, one's art, or discipline. With each rise in the ascent, that this affords a greater vista in which to view and experience love and beauty. Now, this love and appreciation of knowledge, this seeking of knowledge, is so important, we know, as Rosicrucian students, expand our understanding, both within and without, through the mind, the outer faculties, the objective mind, the subjective mind, but also through the subconscious and ultimately the cosmic mind, which imbues all this. We work both within and out to expand our knowledge and hence rise up this ladder of love, the ascent to the beautiful. Now, the love and comprehension of a body of knowledge can be applied in forming the laws on the rung below on the ladder. That is the state of governance. Now, the ascent continues further. See, this is the spiritual development. The greater maturation of the human being is taking place. The ascent continues to the beautiful itself. The good spoken of by Plato in his text, The Republic, can be referred to as the ocean of unity, the rendezvous in eternity. They're transcendent and all-encompassing. Now, this great ascent in beauty and love, from the particular to the universal, going beyond words, going beyond images, going beyond even knowledge into unity and the direct experience of God, is hastened and achieved through our works of meditation and contemplation and our acts of service, and coming into a comprehensive knowledge of spiritual laws and principles that are taught to us through the Rosicrucian weekly studies. Now, this ascent through these stages is driven by love. From the eros to the agape, the Greeks would say. And through contemplation and meditation, as I've mentioned, which allow us to appreciate the way traveled already and anticipate the way ahead. The rising is a liberation from the hold of the forms of love encountered in the journey upward, but at the same time, a healthy appreciation and participation in them, and a recognition of the various forms of love as good in their right measure. In other words, what Rosicrucians would refer to as self-mastery. Now, once experienced through the full rungs of the ladder, reaching its heights, Diotima notes, we will not be content with any other beauty, but we will appreciate all beauty, all the more through knowing its source, which is beyond comparison. The ascent of each rung has been an act of purification. We see in the annals of mysticism that it is the deepest expression of the human being. It is not uncommon to use, in these deepest expressions of the human being, it's not uncommon to use the language of romantic love to convey the direct experience of the divine, be it through the Song of Solomon, sacred text, the songs of the troubadours, the poetry of John of the Cross, and many others. These conveyances assist the outer self to comprehend the conveyances of unity through the inner self, or master within, in the language of the underlying expressions of love. At this time, I'll ask Karen to please post in the chat the resources for the presentation, including a pasted text as well as the PDF attachment. By way of conclusion, before we have time for question and answers, I would like to say that we have continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles and their application for self-mastery and harmonious living. In this spirit, we have featured the ladder of love, described in Plato's Symposium. The ladder of love, or ascent to the beautiful, or the beautiful itself, consists of 6 rungs or stages. The first is love for a particular body. The second is the love for all bodies. The third is the love for souls. The fourth is the love for laws and institutions. The fifth is the love for knowledge. And finally, the sixth is the love for beauty itself. Now, mysticism is known as the art and science of love, and the law of love is the central law. So it is particularly befitting that we have so considered these teachings known and transmitted through the priestess, prophetess, and instructress, Diotima of Mantinea. Most importantly, we can recognize even more now how to apply these insights on the nature of love in practical ways in our daily lives for the well-being of all and the great return to the final rung of the ladder of love in mystical union. Thank you.